Hello and welcome to the Film Lovers. I'm Sonia Chung. Today we'll be talking to Matthia Caposso, who is a runner and a production assistant. Hello, Matthia. How are you?
Hi, Sonia. First of all, thank you for inviting me in your podcast, and I'm really good today. Really good.
Ah,
Today you finally find me on a quiet day for me.
because you're always really busy, right?
Most of the time, recently, really busy. Also because be a freelancer, you're freelancer too, right? So you know what does it mean
Yeah,
having managing your time.
yeah. No, I'm not a freelancer, but I do a bit of this and a bit of that. So yeah, I can
Yeah,
understand. It's
yeah.
always
Bit of this, bit of that.
yeah, exactly. I'm always busy and on the move. But it's good to catch you in the day off.
No, good to catch each other.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us about yourself, Mattias? So you're Italian. We can tell by your name and your accent. Tell us where you
Thank
come
you.
from and then go from there.
Yeah,
How you
mine.
start.
I'll try to be short, but it's a long story. Yeah, I
That's
come
all
from
right.
Italy. I come from Italy, and I moved in London when I was 22. At the
Where did
moment,
you from?
Naples,
Naples.
Naples.
Okay, okay.
At the moment, I'm 29, so it's been like 7 years and a half since I'm
Okay.
here, and I've been started doing a really different job, like bar waiter, make coffee. I forgot to say I came here with my English that was really really low level, basic, and
Okay.
just unable to speak with people and with every foreign person I met when I came here. So it's good to know, how 7 years ago I was compared to now. So after some time, I managed to learn English and, working more in different bar and restaurant until one day, knowing, since I was born, I have big passion for film, animated stuff, every kind of story, which are video story. So I was finding myself on say how can I do this job, where should I start, where should I study. So I was searching uni, some courses, or place where I can get into the industry, until one day I find out the word that came until now, the word that make me begin everything, the word runner. Who's a
Okay.
runner or slash production assistant, which I'm now, is technically the lowest, let's say the lowest position you have in production. Technically, it's the guy who assists everyone, bring coffee, sometimes driving, transport equipment. He does really, really, really general tasks.
Okay.
Bigger production have each one in each department, so it can be different based on the production you work with. I can say I'm mostly involved both with production department and AD department.
Okay.
And runner is called runner, but also in production assistant is really weird. The difference between those two, because sometimes it's in here, sometimes it's the same. In America, it's called production assistant. In commercial, are two different roles. So it's complicated to explain. Let's say I'm doing both. I also assist in production. So
Okay.
um, I do general task.
When you oh sorry.
No, go on.
Um, because basically the runner's what you start doing, isn't it, to get into the industry and start getting jobs. So basically, it's like you said, it's just it's oh sorry, our dog's barking. But
No problem.
it's basically like the starting point, isn't it, and the foot into the industry.
Yes, let's say
Yeah,
it's a starting point. I'm a beginner. I'm not talking like expert or stuff. I'm still beginning and managing, to see how the industry work.
sure.
But, but it's also in some way it's despite it's a beginner job, it's good job because you start to know how production work,
Yeah.
how they. You see literally the way each department is doing their job.
Yeah. Um, because when I came out of college, I knew a few people in my class, and they went on to be runners. Especially one of them, and
Mm.
I mean, he was always telling me about disastrous jobs because some of them don't even pay you.
I was saying before, I start with volunteering, so doing
Right.
job without get paid.
Wow.
For small production, like, student film, really low budget film, just, to have some experience.
Yeah.
Until the beginning of 2019, I choose to move completely free. At the moment when I was working for free, let's say like this, I was doing part-time job for a pret-a-manger. So
Mm-hmm.
I was, in the meantime, making money in another job. And, I choose a day, a limit to get some credit to put in my CV and
Mm-hmm.
start to find only pay job.
Yeah,
It's been really hard to
I can
find,
imagine.
yeah, because this job is really, really competitive.
And also with runners, they're the ones that are there all the time, aren't they? It's not like some people who like maybe for instance the cast. There'll be one day where certain members of the cast aren't scheduled onto the production for that day, or certain members are. But then the runner has to be there all the time.
Yeah, we stay there. In my experience, every job I'm doing, I stay there from the beginning and finish until the end. I'm the first one arriving, the last one leaving. Whatever is the
Wow.
time, it can be also like
Yeah.
15-hour, 20-hour. I did a job for 20-hour consecutive. So
Yeah, I
it's
remember.
hard.
Sorry.
It's hard, but in sometimes it's satisfied, especially once you've done the job. And
Yeah.
also, I got luck to have many production who has been polite with me, always pay me the extra, always be polite to me and tell me take a break, make me rest when I need. So for now, I've been lucky.
Do they give you free food as well?
Yeah, it depends on the production. Some
Yeah,
the
how
small
much money do
budget
you?
always ask you to go grab whatever you want, but majority of you organize sometime
Yeah,
the lunch or dinner.
yeah,
So it's been my last job. It was me go to a restaurant to get all delivery and bring to the crew.
yeah.
So
Because I was telling OD when I spoke to him for the Halloween special that when I was 25, I worked on the low budget horror film, and
mhm.
I remember, I mean, I was only helping out in the wardrobe department, because because the wardrobe mistress just sort of backed out all of a sudden, and they never heard from her, so they were just desperate for someone. And I knew the director and her husband, who were both working on the film, and they were like, Sonia, can you help us? Our wardrobe person's been dropped out. So I was like, okay, I'll find, because I wasn't doing anything like you. I wasn't doing anything. I just got back from working in Spain, I think it was. And I remember, like, I was telling him, the first 2 weeks were day shoots, the third week was all night shoots. And I didn't work on all of them. I was only helping out here and there. But I remember I was talking to a couple of the runners, and I'd be like texting them, and I like, what are you doing at the moment? And it was 6 o'clock in the morning. One of the messages was like 6 in the morning. I'm waiting outside and just looking after the camera equipment. I think it was like, yeah, it must have been like 4 or 5 in the morning. And he was just sitting looking after the camera equipment while they were filming inside. So it was just like babysitting.
So I
Um,
did this kind of things too, like
yeah,
checking that nobody got
feels it.
expensive equipment. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? So do you
yeah,
get, usually if you do get paid, do you get like a contract before, or do you get, because when I did it, we got a deferred payment. So we had to do a contract. Um and basically it said, because it was a low budget, we got paid not much. It was like
mm,
150 for something ridiculous. But then it said if the film makes any money back in the long term run, then it all gets distributed.
it,
And it never. it got pirated and it never made the money back. So yeah, but that's quite common. But is that usually the kind of contract you do now, or has it changed?
It all depends. It all depends on the production. I
Okay.
work with really few production make me do with a contract. Majority of the job I did it's always been I work mostly in commercial. With them is mostly doing invoice after you done the shooting, after you done your day. Then every next day from the final shot, I send the invoice and always give a limit to the time to pay me, which usually I always put a note to say pay in 30 days, which is
Okay.
technically what the law say. For sure, you might know the minimum wage as well as many who are listening.
Yeah.
There's of course a minimum wage. I would people who doesn't know what is a minimum wage, go search back on Google back to minimum wage. You find many information from there because the wage all depends on the production you're working with.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
film paying
this was the
away,
contract we did. Yeah, we had to sign a back to agreement.
yeah, back to
Yeah.
agreement, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, which is the best one when they pay a back to agreement.
Oh, okay. All right.
But usually I always go with invoice. Really few people did with contract.
Okay. Okay.
Most of the time, especially now with COVID, you always sign a NDA form where it's mostly, just say that you are part of the crew and not mentioning you don't have COVID and that you keep all detail for yourself in private.
Okay. So every time you do a production, do you have to do a COVID test before? Or
Depends
they
on
don't?
the production. Depends on the
Oh, okay.
production. Sometime majority of commercial um, didn't make me do, but some like they send you people at home or they bring directly on set. So you do like a lamp test before starting, and
Okay.
yeah, still always depending on the production and what is their budget because
Okay.
the test, trust me, is expensive. I saw because I once organized that.
Yeah. um, and back in Naples, what's the film? Is the film industry smaller? Is it harder to get work as a runner there, or?
I need to be honest, I never work in Italy, never
Oh,
work. As I
okay.
mentioned, I actually came to London because I was looking for job. And also, I was a bit looking for myself because in Naples, great city, and no, don't get me wrong, but it's hard to find job there. I
Okay.
heard recently now the industry is bit growing thanks to some film and series they are doing. For sure, the famous series Gomorrah. We are really known for that series, which is a gangster
Okay.
story. And yeah, it's growing. But still, if one day I can work also in Italy, I like to be in both. I like to be in both.
Yeah, it's always good to have a bit of a variation, isn't it? And
Yeah, yeah.
option. So are you working how many films have you worked on so far since when you got
Feature,
here?
feature film are really few because it's much harder to get in feature film. I've been in few TV drama or TV series, but always like a daily job. Um, this film I've been with is always, a medium budget. So stuff who are still coming out or, some Bollywood project. As I said before, I'm mainly involved in commercial.
Okay.
Commercial, as I always say, is the one that took is shorter the time you've been
Yes,
with
yes,
them
not
and
so much
also
commercial.
much more paid because like minimum wage for a runner in commercial is 205 now. Yeah.
Mm. And advertising pays a lot of money as well, doesn't it?
Yes, yes.
So yeah, that's
As I
where
always said, advertising is a bit like working for short film, but much
yeah.
better budget.
Have you worked on any short films yet?
New I start working in short film. It's now been a while I don't work in short,
Okay.
but mostly because I'm gonna be selfish and say this. I'm now just getting paid job.
Yeah. Well,
I all need to balance, how you get paid, the time you're gonna spend, if you
exactly.
get extra, because time is money,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
well, exactly, and I mean, it's one of those things where um, it's the chicken and the egg scenario where you need to work to get the experience. So sometimes in a lot of cases, like for instance, for actors or anything, sometimes you have to do things for free to accumulate the, show reel footage to show
Yeah.
people, and your agent, etc. And actually, modeling is the same. A lot of them have to start off doing free work. And obviously, not the high stakes ones, but like, yeah. So it's one of those things. But at the same time, you need the money, don't you? So you need to be able to survive.
Yeah, as well. As
So
well.
it's tricky. What are you working on at the moment?
Um, Last week I worked on a commercial for a mall, which I don't think I'm allowed to say until
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. No, don't get
they
in
don't
trouble.
release the commercial, which has been good. A small team of people in a mall that it's been a night shoot, so in a mall who was closed, and you were free to walk around.
Was that
If
creepy?
I've creepy, not really, not really.
Really?
Actually, was no, it was quiet, really quiet. Especially when you have plenty of space to organize the equipment, camera, light. So I really feel comfy in that one. Future project currently I don't have because, as I said before, my job. Be freelance is always unexpected. You never know when you get call, or you can get call also at last minute, which
Yeah.
is what happens to me last few months.
How do you come across work then? Do you go on to the sites like shootingpeople.com, and is it a bit of meet people that can say, "Oh, so and so has a
Um, I got luck. I got luck because I'm now joining into a diary service, production switchboard, which is good diary service. I start with them as a just runner, another diary service which is part of production switchboard, which is for people who want to begin. So
Okay.
if some people, some runner are listening, try just runner, and you can email your CV and see if they're gonna contact you. But yeah, still today try to send my CV or to production or to whatever role is in charge on hiring. So or the AD or the production coordinator.
Okay.
Always, I have my way to also finding people, which is really really helpful. It's just about finding the name of the person who work on a particular film or commercial, or whatever that person is. I go to IMDb or whatever other platform to see the credit of that person, and see if this person has an email, or what I would recommend, LinkedIn profile, because
Oh,
LinkedIn
okay.
is a
Yeah.
social that is only for work. So if you need to find people on social, go only on LinkedIn, because Facebook or Instagram is not made for work.
No, no.
And it works a lot. When I send my CV out, they always put on list, and when they need you, they call you.
Yeah.
Not quickly, maybe in a month or a day. A person, a AD I emailed in a years ago, contact me recently. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So they still remembered you. That's really good that at least they,
No,
yeah, that's
because
nice.
assistant director or production coordinator, they like to keep people on list. So if you send also updating a CV, they're gonna, majority of them be sure, and they're gonna save it.
Yeah. There's a question I can ask you. What's the difference? Do you know the difference between, because usually on, say, for instance, a film set, I mean, I know you don't know much because you work on mostly commercials
Yeah.
that you're starting out. There's usually two ADs, isn't there? There's an AD one, assistant director one, and AD two. What what do they both do that's different from each other, if that makes sense?
Yeah, nice.
Do you know?
You need to ask this question to an AD
Okay.
or an assistant director, but I know what's the difference. As I say again, it all depends on the production.
Okay.
If you're working in a big budget film or TV series, the first one, which is only and always one on set, is the one that coordinate everything, coordinate every department. Is the one that mostly say when to roll, when to cut. She does many duties. So
Okay.
honestly, I have a book with me that explain everything, and I'll take it so I can say what's the name in
Oh,
case people
okay.
want to know what is.
Because I
Meanwhile, the
sorry.
second one, there's also the second one, which usually is the one always in charge on the unit base. So the one that organize the talent, the call sheet, the call time.
Okay.
They do also loads of stuff. And the third one, which is more general, let's say is the third
What's the third
is
one?
yeah, there's also a third one.
Okay.
It's the one that let's say is the one that organized the runners on
Oh, okay.
AD runners on set. But you know, as I said, they can be different, really, really different. They can
Yeah.
be also the one organizing the crowd in case there's a scene with
Extras.
hundred of extra, or sometime they also organize between other AD, whatever is the first or the second. Is really really different, so
Yeah.
explain you everything is hard, but later I'll mention a
Oh,
book I can
okay.
recommend you. Also if you want to find some more, there's what's the name, screen skill, the
Hmm.
website. It explain better the the duty of the assistant director, so I will
Oh, okay.
recommend to search there in case you want to know more.
Sure. Because I remember when I worked on, I mean, that one, that was probably about 2006 on that low budget horror film. There were there were two runners. I mean, it was a low budget film, so they probably couldn't afford to have a third one. Or maybe they did. I just don't remember them being there being a third one. But my sister helped out at one point as well, and she asked one of them, "What's the difference?" So basically, what do you do, and what does the other AD do? So it's kind of like you said. I mean, it varies obviously, but then in that case, it was quite a small budget. So um, that AD told her that well, she's kind of more in charge of the crew, and the second one was more in charge of the cast.
Mm,
So the one with the cast, for instance, they were the ones in charge of, like you said, giving out the call sheets, making sure everyone's on set. Um, and the AD one, which was her, oh, I can't remember who was who, one or two, was basically in charge of the crew. But
yeah.
yeah, but then there were a couple of runners, so I'm wondering, or maybe she was in charge of them as well. Then I can't remember, to be honest. But yeah, that kind of sounds very familiar to what you just said, and it's very similar as well. So it's like one is the cast, one is the crew, and one is the runners. But then in
Mm.
your situation, if it's a big film, if you're in a situation, then if you have a lot of extras, then you'll need someone. Well, I wonder if that will be the one that deals with the cast.
You mean the main cast? Huh?
Yeah, if I wonder if they will be.
Sometimes it's the first that you know they, or the second two. The second two. The second also, you know, make sure that the talent are from their unit base. They've been sent to the location where they're
Yeah.
going to shoot. So it all depends. Sometimes you also have. Recently, I find out the choir, which is not other than a runner, but only in charge of the talent in case they have any requirement to.
Okay. Have you ever been an extra before?
I do sometimes also
I've done it
extra.
a lot. When I
Yeah, no,
was
I do also occasionally I say or extra supporting artists, just to see how you know the crew work behind. Also, you
yeah.
know, is money. I like to appear, but I'm not an actor, but I like
No,
a
no.
bit to appear and see also the crew, how does it work behind. And you do lots of networking when you do extra. You do
Yeah,
lots of networking because
'cause
you did many times. You've been in contact, with other extra that also they do um, work in film. They have project, so it's good
yeah. Because I
to
remember
do it.
when I worked in when I was a teenager, like I was doing a BTEC media studies course. So that was a 2-year course, and like I got a little job, which was basically I joined an agency, which was like just dealt with supporting artists and
Mm,
extras, and that was quite a good insight because I was also doing a big course in media and film into how the industry works itself. So like you
mm,
said, it's a very good way of doing it. And then I did it on and off throughout the years as well. So I did other, I worked for other extra agencies and stuff. Um, but like they're kind of like in a way like the runners, aren't they? They're kind of like the bottom of the in the industry. And I always remember when it was lunchtime, they usually are always the last ones to go for lunch,
mm.
and we're kind of left with the bits and the leftovers that all after all the cast and crew have eaten. But then sometimes they pay for it as well, so it depends.
Sometimes they pay also good. I can be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah.
I mean, I work. I can get more working as extra than as runner.
Oh, really?
It's weird this business because you get to pay more as extra when at the end you just stay there waiting. I'm not saying that you're doing nothing. Some actually you are important too as extra, but
Yeah,
compared to a runner that goes up and down, say from the beginning to the end.
sure. And also, they pay you more, don't they, when if you have to stay overtime, and also if you get a line.
Yeah, they pay the extra. So when,
Yeah.
especially, I mean, extra, they also have what are good things. They also get extra in case you stay longer,
Mm.
in case you get early morning, in case you stay also for a night shoot or a quick lunch. There is many rules on how extra has been paid, and in there, I really don't know where to find this info.
I'm trying to
Of
think of.
course, the overtime is also for crew, and it's all various based on the role you have. A runner, for example, they have a thought pound based on how much hour they do more after 12 hours they're working.
Okay. So does
So
it so it varies on what job they're doing, basically, how much they get paid for overtime?
yeah, like AD for sure they get more than a runner, camera department. It also depends on their role, like the assistant getting away and the DOP take in another. All depends. It's this is also it should be written also in the back to, because back to minimum wage they have based on the job position you have.
Okay. Oh, so back to, are they the people that who are in charge of how much each various member of the crew gets, etc., cast, and
I
they're
don't know
they're
if
all
they're
the
in
same.
charge, but they make possible that you get your minimum wage to avoid
Okay.
that some production get advantage and pay you less.
Yeah.
Because
So they're
trust me,
kind of
that
like a union,
yes,
basically, for
a union. Yeah, it's a
yeah,
union.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
union.
yeah. So it's like with the actors, it's equity. So like you
Yeah.
said, if they're getting paid not as much as they should be, then they go to equity, and equity basically, sorts it out for them.
Deal with production.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're basically the voice for them. So yeah, I'm trying to think of some more questions to ask you. Blah, blah, blah. So what
Which
would
one?
you like to do? Um, do you have like an idea what you'd like to get into? Um, because you've been working as a runner and a production assistant for the last 3 years, or are you just going to sort of keep going in and see how it goes?
Of course, I cannot be a runner forever because, as I say, I'm just an assistant. But I have the plan. But it's really various. I would like to see myself mainly in the production department, so producer, production coordinator, or production manager. Is what I would like to see myself maybe next year, next couple of years. It all depends.
Yeah, it's really long
Um,
hours, isn't it?
Long hours.
Yeah. When you
It
work on a
depends. It depends. Yeah, they do a lot, but in another way, I also like to see myself as AD because I like to be on set. I like to, stay also with the crew and telling a bit what to do. I'm not saying give order, but
Yeah,
it's also another way to do this. If I can deal with on both sides, that will be best for me. I met few people that they do both. In some job, they in some project they work as AD, in other like producer, and it's hard, but I don't know. I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. It's give and take, really.
Yeah,
So
many people will say that you need to get only one way, and I cannot say they are wrong. So I think it's all depend by yourself how
yeah,
you manage to learn both side
sure.
of these roles.
Um, I should. I forgot to mention you actually do a couple of your own podcast shows. So why didn't you tell us about
Oh
that?
yeah,
So you have an
yeah. I
English
have
one and an Italian one.
yes, yes, two of them. The English one is called Triple M Making Movie with Mattia.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar. It's the same like your. I interview people based on what role they do, and they talk about their job, um, their background, also if they have particular moment on set, and also I always conclude with suggestion they might give to those who want to follow our step or
Yeah,
want to move in the industry.
that's a good.
Um, yeah, the Italian one is called Il Film Migrato. It's technically the same. I just have, it's just in Italian language.
Okay, okay,
And I have, mostly guests who are Italian.
okay. And in the
But,
film industry as well, obviously.
hmm?
And in the film industry as well, obviously.
Yes,
Yeah.
all in the film industry.
Okay.
Film, TV, commercial industry, whatever makes video
Okay. It's very
and web.
interesting, isn't it? Talking to people. It's
Yeah, no,
actually quite.
but thanks to the podcast, I can be honest. I got few job because I interview people,
Yeah.
and also you always be remembered like the person who was a podcast. So I'm telling to you, you're doing a great job by
Well,
interviewing people.
it's also a clever way of networking, isn't it?
Yes,
Do
yes.
you know what I mean?
Networking and also developing information because I start in the industry without knowing where to go and how to start. If I listen someone like you or for sure there's many other who do podcasts like this, I will find a way earlier.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely a useful
Yeah,
tool for meeting people in the industry. And also, like you said, every now and then you might get a job that comes out of it, which is great. But it's not, like
yeah,
it's just for the fun also of making the podcast shows anyway, because they're really interesting. So,
true,
but
true.
how long have you been doing your show for?
Some month.
Okay.
It's funny because the idea came when I was listening. I got inspired for my podcast from I don't know if you listen, Tim Dickens, the podcast
Mm.
where Roger Dickens, you know who is? He's a DOP. He won last year Oscar for 1917, and
Okay.
him and his wife they host this podcast. Who do the same like us? They
Yeah.
interview people, more bigger people because like the interview who was the editor of 1917, they interview Hollywood actor, they have much bigger guests
Yeah.
compared. Not that my guests or our guests are bad,
Yeah, but
uh,
they're more. high profile.
Yeah, high profile. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I got inspired a lot by this podcast, which I will recommend those people who are listening to listen. Also, this Tim Dickens is called.
Okay, cool.
Tim
Yeah,
Dickens.
I have to look out for that. Did you listen to any podcasts during any of the lockdowns?
Yeah, some comedy one I listen. I like mostly stand-up comedian doing podcasts.
Mm,
I know Dave Chappelle is doing one, but it's you have to pay for this, so I will not.
yeah,
I don't know how to get. There's also Ricky Gervais. He does. He's doing also podcasts and many other too. I kind of like, and also of course cinema, film,
yeah, yeah.
TV production podcasts. I listen. Majority of them are Italian too. So
Okay.
I
Um,
have on my list. I can I quote some?
yeah, yeah, go for it.
Just because let me see my profile if I can find. I'll be quick.
You're right. Got no to rush.
There is most especially one that is really, really recommend. I will really recommend because it talks about a bit behind the scene. Uh, I cannot, I cannot connect to Spotify. It's fine. In case I will find it, maybe I'll send to you and
Yeah,
up to you
yeah,
if you want to send
or
it.
mention it later when it comes back if that
Yeah.
happens.
But in the meantime, before I quote the book about the assistant director, the book I was trying to mention before is called Running the Show. It's been
Okay.
written by Liz Gill. Liz Gill, she's an assistant director. She works in many films, and she it's a good book because it's explain everything about the assistant director and how do they work.
Okay.
Many details. So make sure that you you keep this book like how do you call a manual or like a vocabulary.
Encyclopedia.
Yeah, Wikipedia,
Yeah, yeah,
an
yeah.
encyclopedia for AD. So
Okay, so it goes into the in-depth detail of basically behind the scenes of what they actually really do.
yeah, yeah. Mostly explain also the way they organize from pre-production to post-production too.
Okay. Did you work on anything before any of the lockdowns? That maybe had to be shut down and then start again after a lockdown.
Lockdown has been kind of harsh for everyone, of course.
Yeah.
Like I've been in lockdown. I've been in lockdown because I have my girlfriend who lives with me. She is vulnerable, and so I avoid working for her. It's been good time with her. So we spend
Yeah, yeah.
lots of doing stuff together. So I didn't find really harsh. I mean, okay, was a pandemic is sad, but
Yes, of course. But you weren't
but
working
yeah,
on anything.
I unfortunately I say no to some production that
Oh, okay.
they were trying still to work, except the first lockdown when everyone closed and shout for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah.
Luckily, this business is always working on. I mean, yeah, unfortunately, small production close up, and I heard some of them that didn't continue. But once you close one, you can go to another.
Sure.
The show business, let's call like this, is something that will never end until there's people watching.
Well, they need to
There's
be
an
entertained.
audience.
Yeah, they
Until there's an audience.
yeah. I was gonna ask you, are you a fan of any of the Italian horror films?
I'm not into horror. I need to be honest. I don't like horror. I'm easily can get scared of everything. So
Because I was talking to my friend, a couple of friends, and one of them, Tom, he's a film critic. He was like, he's really into Italian horror, but like, I mean, I can't handle that amount of gore and stuff. But yeah, I'm also a bit of a wimp in that regard.
for me, look, it depends from the kind of horror I watch. I don't
Yeah,
like those horror who are really with jump
gory.
scare or it depends. I don't know if you watch. There's a particular horror director I like. He's American, Ari Aster, the one who did Hereditary and Midsummer.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen any of them, but yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a kind of horror who technically I like because it's more psychological. There's
Yeah, I
no
was gonna
jump
say.
scare, no jump
Yeah,
scare
yeah,
at all in this in those two films, and still managing to to be scary in his way. There's a
yeah.
name of this um, author or some kind of this.
Okay. But yeah, no, I'm the same. I prefer psychological horror. I find it more scary.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
rather than when it's just like constant jump scares or blood and stuff. It's just, and if it's a really bad um storyline, it just like, what's the point of this? It's just
True.
doesn't do anything really for me. But I don't know. I mean, how long have you been into film? Have you always had a passion for film, like when you were growing up?
Since always, yeah, but when I was young, I was always thinking, that being working in film industry would be, something just few people can do it. Most especially in Italy, where you can. There is many production working. I know it's still competitive there. I
Mm,
had, many friends, family. They support me, which I want to thank them for say. But you
definitely.
always have the double, not double, a second thought from your friends and parents that tells you, but are you sure you want to do film industry? You don't want to do something, more possible.
Yeah, you don't be a doctor.
Doctor is much harder.
No, that's usually what parents do, don't they? Like, no, you don't want to be an actor, become a doctor or so. That's a
Yeah,
proper job. You
doctor is too hard for me to get.
know?
But yeah, so you might have many people that underestimate the way you want to get in, which in some way I can neither blame, because I met many people that join the industry with in a really shallow and superficial way, like,
Mm,
it's fine, I can get here easily, I can just get this and that and I'm done. No, it's a long road and might be hard the beginning, but if you know how to manage to get, you can get.
okay.
Is this just this is the way?
Are you working at the moment, or is there something coming up for you soon? Because you said at the moment you're
Soon I
free.
will do another extra things. I cannot say at all
Of
the
course,
project because
it's
it's really, really
confidential.
confidential. Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
I might mention in future when
Let
they
you.
gonna release the film or the
Yeah, yeah.
series or the commercial they're doing, because
Sure, sure.
I
You're not
can quote
allowed.
neither if it's a commercial and stuff. So
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, it's very common, isn't it? Like you can't. It's confidential. You have to sign a confidentiality.
yeah, I can
Agreement.
just mention that it's a big production, and I
Okay,
hope with them I can manage to network with both cast and crew.
okay, all right. So when are you gonna start that soon?
I think next week they still need to
Okay.
confirm me the day. Tomorrow it might be a COVID test and fitting.
Mhm.
So yeah, they always do fitting, a COVID test first and a fitting when
Okay.
you go, let's say, preparing. And
Are
she's
you
also
excited?
curious to see, how the costume department work,
Sure.
because, or the pre-production, because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
pre-production is one of the most hard part of the production road. Can we say like this?
Mhm. Are you excited?
Kind of, kind
Yeah.
of. But still in the same time, I think I'm deep myself. I know I'm just an extra, so I
Yeah,
don't want to feel like special or
yeah, yeah.
something like
It
that.
is funny because you do get extras from who come in like they're real divas. Have you? I don't know if you ever come across them.
There is, and there's also here. I'm not going to judge something. A big mistake people do when they're extra, that they consider themselves factor.
Yes, yes. I remember
That's
when I was really young. I mean, every now and then, I remember one time I was on an extra on something, and there was a girl probably about my age, and she was like saying to everyone on the bus, because in between um scenes when they needed the extras, they'd bring them on. to the set, and then they take them back to a bus, and we just sit on the bus and talk until
Yeah.
they need us again. So they always kind of, they basically send you off to go somewhere, sit somewhere, and blah, 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 and then when they need you, they'll get you to go back, etc. So, but it varies on the production. Sometimes you have a room to go to, otherwise they'll have a bus or something to go to.
Yeah, or the green room, it all depends.
Yeah, something like this. So, but I remember this one girl, and she was like, "Oh, my name is this. Remember it because I'll be famous one day." And it's just like,
Another mistake some extra does. This one is what a director and also an ID told me to not to do if you're an extra. Never credit yourself in IMDb. It's something
yeah.
many people does, and
Well, it's really egotistical and arrogant, and it's just like I don't understand.
production they find annoying. So
Oh yeah,
even
well, I
if you
can
get,
imagine.
they find annoying because sometimes you also show up a project that they were trying to hide. So
Yeah, yeah, they don't
many
help.
agency they ask you to don't do it. So
Yeah. And also I remember there was always like every now and then you'd hear people say, "Oh, who do you work for now?" "Oh, I work for so and so." Or you get, and then which is fine, and then you get ones that are like, "Oh, I've worked on the bill, and I've worked on this, and I've worked on this," and they're showing off. It's not like saying, "Oh, well, I did this, and then I did this." It's,
yeah.
it's like literally gloating. But the funniest bits I think about being an extra was, I remember one time working on something, there's always someone that guaranteed, and you've probably come across this, there's always an extra that tries to get into the shot and get seen
Mm.
by the camera.
Yeah,
and,
also
and
that's
either
something.
waves or kind of walks into the shot. And I remember one guy telling me that he worked on the shoot, and the director was getting really pissed off of him because there was a crowd scene, and this extra just kept walking in front of the camera really, really slowly. And it's like, right, cut, start again.
Yeah, no, I honestly want it's tempting to be in front of the camera. As I said before, I'm a guy who like to appear, but in the same time, I also try to be professional in
Of
there because even
course.
it's still a job you need to do professionally because
Yeah.
the agents, they know who you are, and so if the production report beds on you, some bad stuff on you, they don't call you anymore. So
No,
this is
exactly.
a suggestion I will give to other extra if they're listening. Don't do this.
Yeah, of course. But like you said, it's gonna, people talk, and especially in the industry, it's quite actually, a lot of the times, you'll come across people that you've really worked with. Oh, it's him again. It's her again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very common. Is there anything you want to say or ask before we sort of start wrapping it up?
Um. I think I say everything.
I think
I gave the best suggestion. I mean, for maybe I can give a last suggestion to those who want to get in like runner. If you want to follow the same way, I would recommend you start doing a free job for a small production, not only to get few credit, but also to see how the production work, even if it's a small one, even if it's
yeah.
student
See
project
how it works behind the scenes, and yeah, that
where
makes
people are learning too. And never underestimate people for their role, whatever is a runner, whatever is an assistant, because even from a low position, they can still give you great suggestion, and also in future they might give you work. A last suggestion. This one is something I'm really doing between my colleague who are also runner. Save if you network, always save your number of the person you met. Save the number and save it with the name and the role this person is covering. Like in my case, I saved the name of some John Smith, runner.
okay.
Majority of the time, always happen that some production need urgently a runner. I can be available for that day. I always recommend those people I know who I have saved in my phone. So I just on WhatsApp digital word runner, and I have a whole list of people I already work with.
Okay. Oh, that's really
And I
good.
can count on this.
And
Yeah, always keep people number because it's
okay.
always good to do also networking like this. And also, personally, I also did a business card where if you
Mm,
go to a bank or stuff like this, it's always good to be recognized for your business card too.
sure. Yeah. And like you said, if you make a good um impression, then people always remember you.
Mm. Another this one something personal. I don't recommend to do, but for me it work. If you see my website, I have my own logo, but I
Hmm.
also use this logo on my T-shirt. So occasionally I bring this T-shirt with my logo and QR code of my website and social network, and with this you get attention, you get by the good attention of be recognized not only for the guy who worked good but also the guy
Yeah.
with the t-shirt, I remember him.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Because this industry you're gonna make many people, so try to make a way you're gonna get recognized in some way
Yeah.
with
Definitely.
the image. Of
All
course
right.
this image doesn't need to be the main part. And of course, you need to give your best. You need to be good at work and professional. Like this is the first thing you're gonna be remembered at work.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. All right. Well,
With,
thank you.
I have nothing more to say now.
Okay, I was going to say, is there anything else you want to say? Because it sounded like you're about to say something.
No, 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 no
All
problem.
good? All right, thank you, Mattia. And
No problem.
come
No
back
problem.
another time.
No problem. No problem.
We'll do some kind of a countdown or something like I do with some of the other
Sure.
people.
Sure. I'll in future try to interview you on my podcast. Then
That'd be funny.
I'm currently busy, because I have many other people on list which I'm waiting to interview. But
Okay.
in future, I'll let you know,
Thank
or
you.
actually text me
Okay.
because I might have many people you turn to forget.
Sure, sure. It's an interesting dynamic when you get sort of when you change over, so no longer being the host and you're being the the person that's the guest.
Yeah, and I like both. I like to speak, so whatever I'm the host or the guest, I always like.
Yeah, no, it's good fun. All right, well, thank you, Matthias,
Thank you, Sonia.
and it's been
Thank you
lovely
so much.
talking to you.
Lovely talking with you too. Lovely
Take
talking with you
care.
too.
Thank
See
you.
you. Bye.
Bye.